Okay, before I get into reviewing Battleground and talk about what happened on Raw and the build-up to Summerslam, just a couple of quick things. Number one, I wanted to do a review for Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, but I still haven't seen it. I haven't had a chance to go see it, and last weekend just got totally crazy, so that got taken off my plate. But I am seeing it tomorrow, so I'll probably mention it in the video next week, so long after the movie's released that nobody will care. I am also seeing Guardians next week, so that should be a lot of fun. Everything I'm hearing is that movie's supposedly really good. So here's hoping Guardians of the Galaxy delivers. And my question and answers video. The deadline is passed. No more questions. I've got enough to make a video, and I'm going to start working on it this weekend. So it might take a couple of weeks before the whole thing's up, but I've got a lot of material to work with now, and I think I can make a nice long video out of it. So thank you everyone who sent in questions, but we're done, or I'm done, or the deadline is passed, or whatever, I don't know. But Battleground, let's talk about that. Kind of a humdrum show. That's kind of the best way to describe it. It just, there's nothing about it that I can look at and say that was just absolutely awful, but it just kind of had no life to it, really. It was not a very it felt like a throwaway pay-per-view. It really did. And is it sad to say that the best part of the show was the match that didn't happen? I mean, is that kind of sad to say? I'll get into that later, but going over to the card, I watched most of the pre-show. I did miss Adam Rose versus Fandango. Actually, my feed to the network, my internet cut out, and it came back on after like 30 or 40 seconds, and the match was already over. So that one must have been really, really quick. And I don't know what they're doing with Summer Rae and Layla. Like, I missed Layla turning on Fandango. Maybe that happened on SmackDown, that show that I never watched. So who knows? So I was a little surprised to see that on Raw. It's like, wait a minute, when did that happen? So maybe I should watch SmackDown. Who knows? But Naomi versus Cameron was terrible. That match was atrocious, and thank God it was not on the main show. And it was through no fault of Naomi. Like, Cameron is just not good. She is not fun to watch. So, and which makes it kind of sad that she went over. But what can you do? But going into the main show. We opened up with the Tag Team Championship match, the Usos versus the Wyatts, in a 2 out of 3 falls match for the titles, and it was very good. It was really, really good, and as a fan of tag team wrestling, I always enjoy seeing stuff like that anyway. So, just a good action-packed tag team match, and the third fall was great. So, no problem here. It opened up. It opened up the show strong, nice and hot, and just gave us a really good match right off the bat. And unfortunately, it was the best match on the show, but it was still really, really good, and I really enjoyed it. Next up was, what was the second match? Was it Paige and AJ? I'll just say it was. Okay, Paige and AJ. It was a little botchy. Obviously, the crowd was into it. It was obviously a match that the crowd was invested in because I think. Paige is a bit of an internet darling, and AJ is the biggest diva star that they have currently, and she's their best diva character, so naturally the fans were more invested into this one than they normally would be for a Divas match, and so it had that going for it. It was a little sloppy in spots, and still not quite there with Paige yet, but after the heel turn on Raw this week, which was very well done, I'm hoping we finally see the Paige that everybody was raving about in NXT, because from what I've heard, that what we've been getting with her as Divas Champion is not the Paige that we were getting in NXT, not the one that got over with the internet so largely. So, again, here's hoping. Like I said, I thought the heel turn came off well, even though we all saw it coming a mile away, and they are kind of rushing it. Like, if it were me, again, this is the way my brain works, I would have dedicated like 3 months to AJ and Paige as a partnership before doing the turn, but that's just me. Because people kind of knew it was going to happen, I would kind of dedicate enough time to the partnership to where people would kind of forget about it and then do it, just so it'll be more of a shock when it does happen. But again, that's just the way my brain works. What else? We had Rusev versus Swagger, which I must say, I am glad that I apparently watched the same cartoons as Zeb Coulter. He referenced Rocky and Bullwinkle by calling Lana and Rusev Boris and Natasha. And if you don't know what Rocky and Bullwinkle is, I recommend checking out the cartoon because it was one of the first cartoons that had like adult humor. And I don't mean like filthy humor, like some of the jokes that Animaniacs got away with, which I don't know how the hell Animaniacs got away with half the jokes that it made, but children's programming block. But Rocky and Bullwinkle, it wasn't so much dirty jokes, but like very smart kind of social commentary jokes that no kid was going to get, but adults kind of get a chuckle out of it. So Rocky and Bullwinkle was a surprisingly smart cartoon for its time. And yeah, so check it out. Don't watch the movie. The movie is one of the worst fucking things I've ever seen. Don't even bother with that fucking piece of shit. But anyway, Rocky and Bullwinkle, where was I? Oh yeah, Rusev and Swagger. I like this match. It was solid, and the crowd, again, bought into the story because of the stance of the two characters. And I really liked the finish. I thought that was really well crafted with Rusev being in the ankle lock and dragging himself outside the ring and rolling Swagger into the post and knocking him out. I thought that was a good way to do a count-out finish. And I do like it whenever I see things like getting hit in the face with a post being the finish, because logically it should be. I remember listening to Jake Roberts once talk about in-ring psychology, and he said something that made so much sense to me, where it's like, have you ever noticed that a steel chair will not end a match nowadays, but a finisher will? And it's like, shouldn't the steel chair hurt more than a wrestling move, even if it is a finisher? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, a giant blunt object made of metal that you're getting hit with is apparently less painful than a body slam or whatever the finisher is. But I don't know, that's just in-ring psychology for you. So whenever I see something like that, or an old school example that I remember is Sting and Vader at Great American Bash 92, where Sting did the Stinger Splash and hit his head on the post, and that basically won the match for Vader. And I just like when stuff like that makes sense. I just like that kind of stuff. So yeah, I did enjoy this match. Yeah, next up we had, we didn't get the match, Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins. However, I made the point in my preview video that I felt like this match should have been saved for SummerSlam anyway. And so they kind of did what I suggested, in that they just had the match end in kind of end with no real winner, and basically hold off on the bigger gimmick match for SummerSlam, which is kind of what I suggested in my preview video, although they did it a little differently and did it in a way where you never really got the match to begin with. That's probably not how I would have gone about it, because once you announce a match and you don't deliver on it, it kind of pisses off the paying customers. Although, if you're watching it on the WWE Network for $9-10 a month, it's probably not that big a deal, but you shouldn't. Well, then again, if you're there live and I know it's card is subject to change, but still, you're deliberately not delivering on something that you advertised. And so I can understand the frustration there. That said, I thought the stuff that they did do was a nice substitute for a match, with the brawling and security trying to break him up, and Ambrose being the awesome babyface that he is and hunting Rollins down and all of that. And I just thought it came off really well for the most part. And of course the crowd's chanting, "Let them fight," and I'm sitting there going, it's like, oh, where's Ken Watanabe when you need him, And it was just really, really good stuff all around. Although it did kind of make the show feel like a Raw, because it did feel like something that you would see on a Raw rather than a pay-per-view. And I can understand the criticism there, but as far as being entertaining those and making me more excited for a Rollins-Ambrose showdown, I thought it did that really, really well. So I wasn't too upset about it. And what else was I going to say about it? There's something else I was going to say. I don't know. It's gone now. Again, I want to elaborate on Dean Ambrose a little bit, because he is just awesome. And I've said it before, he's my favorite babyface in wrestling right now, and he just continues to be that every single week. So I hope they have a plan for him after the feud with Rollins is over, because I mean, we all know Rollins is going to beat him. I just hope that he doesn't get lost in the shuffle, because he's been outstanding lately, and it would be a shame if he kind of faded away into obscurity, because obviously they have a big plan for Reigns, and they're giving Seth this big heel push, so obviously they've got big plans for him. But I would hate for Jon Moxley to kind of be the odd man out of the Shield, because I think he's the one that's entertaining me the most. So I would love to see him do something. And actually, him working with the shoulder injury, it kind of reminds me of Diamond Dallas Page back in the day. And Diamond Dallas Page was such a good worker back then, and he gets no credit for it, and people shit on him because A, he's a WCW guy, and if you're a WCW guy, you get shit on. Unless you jump to WWE, then all of a sudden they love you. It's really weird how the fans react to that kind of thing. But you know, yeah, he gets shit on. He only got a push because he was Bischoff's friend, and I go back and watch his stuff from like 96, 97. That dude was fucking good. And like 98, he was fucking good. Towards the end, in like 99, 2000, he was one of the only things enjoyable about WCW. So, and Ambrose's recent string of performances, it's kind of like a Stone Cold Steve Austin type of attitude, somewhat, in that he's that crazed, unpredictable guy that does whatever the fuck he wants to do, with like a DDP sense of selling and how to work a match. And I think he's been fantastic. So I really enjoy Ambrose these days. But what came after that? Was it the Dust Brothers promo? That really weird one where they talked about the Cosmic Key? I think that was it. Although, Stardust, Cody, I don't think you should be going after the Cosmic Key, because last time I checked, He-Man and Skeletor were fighting over it, and I don't think you want to get in the middle of that. But, yeah, I said I liked Stardust initially, and I still do, and I think Cody's really playing his ass off to make this thing work. And it's Bray's kind of running into the same problem, too, with his promos, where he's just saying a bunch of things to sound weird and creepy, but none of it seems to have any purpose or direction or meaning behind it. I still don't know why he attacked Chris Jericho. Like the segment on Raw, the beatdown on Jericho backstage was really good. And then he cut his promo, delivered it well. But I'm sitting there listening to it, it's like, I have no idea what the fuck he just said. Why is he doing the things that he's doing? My friend Eric, he had a great point where he talked about the Daniel Bryan-Bray Wyatt feud, and why that one works so well is that Bray had a distinct purpose in talking the way he did to Bryan, because he was trying to recruit Daniel Bryan, saying that I know you better than your fans do, and you're not going to succeed if you keep going along with them. The only way you're going to succeed if you do things my way. So he was trying to gain a follower in Bryan. So that feud made more sense. This thing with Jericho, it just, I still don't know what he's trying to accomplish. And it's really weird. And with that, I guess I'll jump right into the match itself. I didn't like this match. I was shocked at how kind of lackluster it was. It had this weird flow to it where it was just kind of stop and go the whole time. And there were a couple of good moments. Again, Bray works his ass off. Jericho did not look like he was in good ring shape. He looked like he was sucking wind by the end of it. Maybe he has a little bit of ring rust. I don't know. But I was not a fan of this match. And I don't like that Jericho went over, because, you know, I think Bray should be getting the wins, especially coming off that feud with Cena where that really derailed him big time. And, you know, if he's going to have this feud with Jericho, which, again, doesn't make any sense, at least have him get the win so you're building credibility. And I don't know. He'll probably win the rematch, but at the same time, it's, you know, I don't think there was any reason for Jericho to win this match. But, you know, it is what it is. It was a lackluster match, and that's really all there is to it. Excuse me. Next up, we had the Battle Royal for the Intercontinental Championship. Fairly standard. It was fun. It was a Battle Royal. Part of me wishes that Kofi Kingston would win one of these damn things, because all of his escapes are so cool, but then he gets eliminated like almost immediately after he does the cool escape. So it's like, well, what's the point then? It's like, I wish Kofi would actually win one of these Battle Royals or something, but you know, because again, he had a great escape in this one, and it was really cool, and they always find ways to do it with Kofi. So yeah, that was fun. The ending with The Miz I saw coming a mile away, and hopefully they've got something for Ziggler, though. They seem to be more interested in doing something with him than they were, say, a year ago. So we'll see how that plays out. Cesaro, I don't know what they're doing with him. Why did they take him away from Paul Heyman? That doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. I don't understand why they did that at all. And again, it's clear to me that they want to do something with Cesaro, but they they don't know what. Like, they haven't really thought out any kind of a definite path or direction for him. And, I mean, he went on to Raw the next night and had the wrestling main event portion of the show with his match with Ambrose. But, so it's clear they want to do something with him. It's just they haven't figured out what exactly, and it's a little frustrating. At times, it's like, he's a talented guy that's as strong as an ox. So what, I mean, you can't think of anything to do with him? Seriously? Okay. Actually, I forgot. Let me go back to the Swagger-Rusev match for a minute, because there was a point I forgot to make. But summing up the Battle Royal, it was fun for what it was. RVD was not in the match, which was a little odd, because I know he was advertised to be in it, but apparently he got injured, so that's why that happened. But yeah, the Battle Royal was fun, and before I get into the main event, let me go back to Rusev and Swagger real quick. I really wonder what the future of the Rusev character is going to be with all the recent stuff that's coming out, the recent current events, developments regarding Russia and the planes that are being shot down and all of that stuff. So, you know, it is kind of in that really awkward phase where you don't really know how far the WWE is going to continue taking this. I think back to Muhammad Hassan, and that character got killed, basically, by, you know, there was that terrorist attack in Spain, and that ultimately led to the end of the character, and technically the character wasn't a terrorist, but, you know, I mean, that was the whole point of the character. Is like, look, you all think because I'm a Muslim that I'm Arab that I'm a terrorist, and, you know, a terrorist act happens in Spain, and then the Muhammad Hassan character has to be kicked off TV because of it. So it is really strange how that works sometimes. But then again, you think of cases like Sergeant Slaughter, who was an Iraqi sympathizer during the Gulf War, and they took that one to a WrestleMania main event. So who knows? So I guess with Rusev, they're either going to drop it or they're going to push it all the way to the moon. So to get as much heat on as possible. Who knows? It'll be interesting to see how that develops, though. Something that was not interesting, though, was the main event of this pay-per-view. And, yeah, it was exactly what I thought it was going to be. Cena won, which came to the surprise of absolutely no one. They spammed finishers like a motherfucker, because, you know, that's something that they have to do in every single main event now. And the saving grace of the whole thing was Roman Reigns being a beast. And even that wasn't that great. So, I mean... I mean, that's all there is to say. Predictable as fuck. The Orton-Kane and their whole split was predictable as fuck. We knew that was going to happen. There's just nothing to play with here and nothing to really get invested in. It was just one of those matches where I was just sitting there. I was like, all right, can we get to the finish already? All right, let's get to the finish because I don't really care. And that was the main event. So Roman Reigns was the only thing about it that made me forget that I was bored. So... yeah, lackluster close to a somewhat lackluster pay-per-view. Again, it's not that the show was, like, bombastically terrible. It's just there wasn't a whole lot to really sink my teeth into. And like I said, the best part of the show was probably the match that didn't happen. And, you know, the best actual match was the tag title match that opened up. So I guess you could say it kind of peaked early in that respect. But, yeah, Battleground, not a very good show. Hopefully SummerSlam will be better. And speaking of SummerSlam, we had some developments happen on Raw this week. I already talked about the Paige heel turn. I already talked about the Battleground main event, which set up Roman Reigns and Randy Orton, which I was hoping it would be Roman Reigns and Triple H, but apparently they're saving that for Night of Champions when the network subscriptions are up, which that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out, to see how many of the customers they keep. Because obviously they haven't gotten as many subscriptions as they wanted, and I'll be interested in seeing how many people... I'm not sure I'm going to stay on, quite honestly. That's something I'm debating. So again, that'll be fascinating. But yeah, we've got Roman Reigns versus Randy Orton set up. We're definitely going to have a Seth Rollins-Dean Ambrose match, that's for sure. You got Paige and AJ. So they've set up a bunch of things, but the two major developments that happened on Raw... Brock Lesnar returned, and he's the number one contender to face John Cena. The last segment on Raw was good. Paul Heyman sold it like the awesome boss that he is. I mean, he knows how to make shit seem important. You know, I not that I'm overly interested in seeing the match itself. I would hope that Lesnar would win. And I have mixed feelings on Lesnar holding the belt because he's a part-timer, and I don't... And there's a good thing to that, and there's a bad thing to that, which actually that was one of the questions I was asked in my question and answer video, so I will have time to elaborate on that. But I would much rather see it on Lesnar than Cena at this point, because Cena just bores me to fucking tears. And it's obvious that this was originally supposed to be Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar, but, you know, the neck injury happened, and that took that away from us. But I would hope that they wouldn't give Lesnar the Undertaker streak just so they could feed him to Cena. If that happens, I will laugh my ass off from the sheer trolling that the WWE would put on their fan base by doing that. We're going to end the streak just so we can feed that guy to John Cena at the next big pay-per-view, the next big, you know, the next of the big 4 pay-per-views. I don't think they're going to do that, though. I think it's pretty obvious that Lesnar's going to win, and then he'll, you know, be set up to drop it to somebody, probably Roman Reigns, which if they keep moving forward with Reigns and are able to get something, a solid direction for him, that could be really good. And, you know, I still disagree with Lesnar ending the streak, but if they're able to make Roman Reigns a star out of it, at least it would salvage it a little bit. You still squandered the potential of the victory of ending the Undertaker streak, but at least you would have salvaged it and gotten something out of it by helping make Roman Reigns a star in the process. So that's really the best thing they could do to salvage it. And it doesn't even have to be Roman Reigns. Could be any, you know, hot act that they want to make something out of. So, you know, we'll see how that goes. I'm pretty set that Lesnar's going to win the title. So we shall see. Yeah, he's going to win it 12 years after he won his first title. So... it's weird. I can't believe it was that long ago that he beat Rock. I remember when Lesnar was the next big thing. That was, oh god, time flies. And the other big thing that happened on Raw this week was the whole angle they did with Brie Bella and Stephanie McMahon, where Stephanie got arrested for assaulting Brie Bella, who was sitting in the crowd. And I want to make this point right now. The angle itself was actually really well done, and it actually did make people excited to see a Stephanie and Brie Bella match at SummerSlam. So good on them for doing that. And, you know, if you're going to do that match, the television has got to be really, really good to make people even remotely interested in seeing it. And so they did a really good job of setting it up. And the major praise that I'm going to give it is that, from a writing standpoint, Brie Bella is officially the smartest babyface in the last 15 years or so. Because you go back and you look at, you know, pretty much from the Attitude Era onwards, all the evil bosses that have come up and down, from the, you know, Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, Shane McMahon, Eric Bischoff, Vicky Guerrero, Paul Heyman, all these evil bosses, and they go out of their way to rig athletic events and brag about it, you know, laugh in the face of the people that they screwed. I mean, could you imagine if Roger Goodell did something like that? Like, let's say he helped a team win the Super Bowl and then laughed at the other team. It's like, ha, the team I wanted won the Super Bowl. That's best for business. No NFL fan on the planet would stand for that. And here in the world of wrestling, you know, it's like the most corrupt business model in sports. I mean, again, I know wrestling's fictional, but it is really kind of amazing if you compare the mechanics of like wrestling storytelling to like any real sport and just how insane it is. And the evil bosses, like, they get away with rigging athletic events. They deliberately create unsafe working environments for their employees. They screw over their employees' career and their livelihoods and their health constantly. They're, you know, realistically, they should be slapped with lawsuits every day, all day long, and the WWE should have gone bankrupt years ago. It should have gone belly up from all the lawsuits that they would have been hit with. Nobody should want to work there because they know they're going to get screwed by the boss. So the talent pool is going to dry up because nobody's going to want to work for a psychotic company that deliberately goes out of its way to screw the workers. So it's really, if you apply like real world logic into how the evil bosses operate in wrestling, it really is quite fascinating how it doesn't match up at all whatsoever. And Brie Bella, you know, Stephanie slaps her across the face, and she's like, oh, hey, you know what? I'm going to press charges. She assaulted me. And it was like, oh my god, somebody has a brain. It's amazing. And it's actually a good piece of writing, and it created like a great situation where Stephanie got arrested and she was freaking out and acting all crazy, and Triple H was hilarious backstage. I thought his reaction was great. Oh, you got a hybrid car. You proud of yourself? Career decisions, guys. And I'm sure he told the story to his best friend Mark later. But yeah, I'm really surprised at how entertaining Triple H and Stephanie are week to week. Considering I hate the trope of the evil boss, and I got sick of it years ago. And the fact that they're on TV all the time, you'd think I would have gotten sick of them by now, but no, they have their moments. I'm just saying. And I really liked how the angle came off. So, and again, Brie Bella, that was some good writing there, making her seem like a really, really smart and intelligent character. But yeah, that's all I have for now. The path to SummerSlam continues, and I'm going to have a few SummerSlam related videos coming out. I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do yet. I'm kind of just making this up as I go, but I'll have something for SummerSlam, definitely. And my question and answers video, as I've said, I'm going to be working on that over the course of the next few weeks, and hope you all enjoyed that as well. And once again, thank you for submitting questions. But for now, that is all I have. Thank you all for listening and watching, and I will see you all next week.